y todos, un gusto verlos por acá. Y bueno, ya dando cierre a esta grandiosa jornada y a todos estos espacios que hemos tenido en el marco del encuentro, qué mejor forma de poder seguir trascendiendo en todo nuestro camino en la educación e ingeniería que cerrar con una conferencia enfocada precisamente a lo que es el aprendizaje a lo largo de la vida. Y como la conferencia lo titula, centrado en lo que es la innovación local y liderazgo global, gran parte de lo que era pertinencia e impacto de la formación de ingenieros que hemos visto a lo largo de estos días. Entonces, como la moderadora les mencionaba, vamos a contar con la participación de la doctora Geraldine Gooding. Voy a pasarme al inglés para darle la bienvenida. So welcome to this conference, a keynote. We are closing the session for today. And what such an honor, an opportunity to have Dr. Geraldine Gooding to be with us for the keynote. So she's doctor in engineering, an engineering educator, entrepreneur, a change agent, whose career spans over 15 years in the urban planning, engineering, and education fields. Dr. Gooding currently serves as Director of the Engineering, Education, and Outreach Department at the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASME, where she oversees projects and initiatives impacting the global K-12, college, universities, communities through innovative classrooms and curriculum support, professional development, scholarship, workforce development, and academic program accreditation, ABET. So we are very honored to have you here, Geraldine. So welcome to Cartagena, welcome to our ACOFI International Engineering Education Conference, and such an honor to have you here to close this event. Thank you very much, Geraldine, and the floor is yours.
Buenos días, ¿cómo está? ¿Todos bien? Bien, bien. So, thank you, Humberto, for the welcome. So I'm going to try this, bear with me. Gracias por la invitación para venir a la hermosa Colombia y hablar con ustedes. Es un honor estar aquí y quiero agradecer especialmente a Humberto y a los estamados, organizadores y personal de esta conferencia. Eso es todo mi español por ahora. Ahora cambiar al inglés. So thank you for bearing with me with that. But I hope with just those few words that you feel the respect and gratitude and excitement that I feel for being here with you. And this just gives you an example of what I'm going to talk about today, which is lifelong learning. I don't know Spanish, it's not native to me, but in order for me to connect with the community and be able to connect with those that are outside of my community, I have to keep learning. So, as Humberto shared, I am Geraldine Gooding. I'm the Director of Engineering Education Outreach at the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. I am not a mechanical engineer. I'm a systems engineer, but as I always say, we're all family. We're all part of one machine that helps the machine run, right? We all have our part. So today I will be talking to you about the journey of engineering education in a changing world. We will start local, expand globally, and finally land on an important topic of lifelong learning. So let's begin by recognizing the reality that we live in. The world is changing faster than we've ever known. Artificial intelligence, renewable energy, biotechnology, and advanced manufacturing are transforming not only industries, but also what it means to be an engineer today and how we come up with solutions. Global challenges such as climate change, sustainability, and inequality in different parts of the world require engineers who can think beyond formulas, ones who can innovate locally, collaborate globally, and never stop learning. So I'm going to ask a question, hopefully, if anyone needs to translate. How many of you, and I just want you to show your hands, just raise your hand. How many of you believe your students or young people today will face challenges that you never faced when you were going through your training? Right? Everyone should, because things are changing so rapidly that probably the things you're learning today, by tomorrow, they're obsolete. So think about it as we talk about this lifelong journey of learning. With these shifts in engineering, universities around the world are rethinking not only what they teach, but how they teach. We're seeing more interdisciplinary programs, engineering with business, with health, with policy. We see ethics and sustainability becoming core learning outcomes, not just electives anymore. Technology is reshaping classrooms. Digital first teaching, hybrid labs, online collaboration, preparing students for a future where learning is lifelong. And most importantly, there's growing attention to access and equity. So I have a quote here. La educación es el alma más poderosa que puedes usar para cambiar el mundo. How am I doing with the Spanish? Am I doing okay? See, a little bit. So innovation is not a one-size-fits-all. Local innovation is about talking global knowledge and adapting it to the specific realities of a region. Think about clean energy, how that looks different in Australia with its emphasis on solar farms, compared to Brazil with hydropower, or Kenya with its geothermal plants. Universities play a central role in this. They must not only train students in theory, but also encourage them to apply their skills to solve pressing local and global problems. So when students see themselves as a contribution to the community, they develop pride as well as practical experience. So now let's connect the dots. Local innovation doesn't stop at the community or city level. It often becomes a seed for global leadership. The mosquito net innovations in sub-Saharan Africa have influenced malaria prevention across Southeast Asia. Community-driven renewable energy projects in Latin America have inspired policies in Europe. Engineering education must train students not only to be competent in problem solving, but also to be leaders who recognize the global potential of local solutions. So that's having students solve problems that are near and dear to their heart and their local community, but also looking at how that can be scaled and used in other countries. So this is what the dual lens is. It's thinking locally while scaling globally. It's what prepares them to be leaders in a changing world. And here's the key. Global leadership is not about imposing solutions on a community. It's about collaboration, it's about humility, and it's about respect. True leadership begins with listening. This is especially critical in engineering because sometimes we design and we plan without talking to the people who it's going to impact, and that's very important. So I was going to ask another question, but I'll skip that. Let's go to the next slide. So let me give some examples of how local innovations grew into global movements. So Universidad de Medellín is part of an international safe water research effort to design, test, and deploy low-cost household water treatment and monitoring technologies across Colombia, Brazil, and Mexico. Unlike a one-off lab prototype, these projects test technologies under real-world conditions together with communities. It includes health impact assessments. That's a model for local to global innovation. Start with the community needs, iterate in the field, and then scale learnings across regions and into research networks and policy conversations. In Rwanda, CMU Africa, engineering students are showing how local design can ripple globally. They built low-cost air quality sensors tailored to Kigali's unique dust and humidity. Because imported commercial sensors weren't accurate in those conditions, they developed their own solution. The students had open source designs, not only to inform Rwanda's environment, but also to share globally. So now what they've done in Rwanda is available to other countries. They presented their findings at IEEE conferences, and even in climate negotiation spaces, they use this information. This is what it looks like when education sparks leadership and purpose. Innovation grounded in local realities shaping global science. And you'll hear me say that a number of times, local to global. In Australia, research on solar energy systems have made the country a global leader in rooftop solar adoption, offering lessons to countries like India and the United States. With more than 30% of households equipped with PV systems, and is also developing large-scale solar farms, which is helping to drive down global solar costs and accelerate global energy transition. Through government incentives, innovation in energy storage, like the Hornsdale battery, and a strong focus on reducing emissions, Australia is contributing to global efforts against climate change and demonstrating the viability of renewable energy on a large scale. Carleton University, they have an ITAD project, and they're working on a EIEI Light, which is a wearable exoskeleton prosthetic assistive walking device. So the teams of students are designing not just a mechanical or the mechanical parts, but the control systems, the human factors, and doing early field validation. This kind of multidisciplinary purpose-driven work amplifies impact because it's not just lab prototypes. It's designed for real-world use, right? So we're not teaching the students just to pass an exam or to do a class project. We're teaching them to solve real problems once they graduate. We've seen how local innovation in these different regions created global impact. And this is the essence of engineering leadership: solving problems in context and sharing those solutions across borders. Again, leadership starts with listening and respecting local contexts. So, where do we go from here, you might ask? I know you said that all sounds good, but what do we do after that? That's my place, okay. So I'll start with professional societies. As was mentioned, I am from the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. So professional societies aren't often the first place that someone might look or think about when they talk about academic discussions. And that's really a missed opportunity. We don't just host conferences, right? We're at a beautiful conference today, but there's so much more to ACOFI, right? Outside of the conference, other professional development opportunities. So professional societies create the infrastructure that keeps engineers connected to the knowledge for an entire career. So as I mentioned, ASME, ACOFI, American Society of Civil Engineers, IEEE, they provide access to cutting-edge knowledge, leadership training, micro-credentialing, and a global network. They help faculty stay current, and they give students role models and professional development. They link the universities with industry, as well as allowing members to update their industry standards. So ASME creates the industry standards, the mechanical codes and standards that many of our professionals use in industry. And what we have is we allow our members, our volunteers, to be able to guide and direct and develop those standards. So that's also a part of learning. So also important are societies that lead with purpose and inclusion. Those are groups like SWE, Society of Women Engineers, SHEP, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, National Society of Black Engineers, and LACSE. These groups ensure that we're building not just engineers, but communities of belonging. On Tuesday, I had the great pleasure to speak to a group of students at Norte about the importance of society engagement, as well as how important it is to their growth. We talked about the availability of mentorship, participating in student competitions, meeting their fellow students across the world who are also doing competitions, social impact projects, and what these projects do to support and complement what they're learning in class. I also mentioned to them that we have scholarships. I'm gonna say that here too. Money, that also helps with lifelong learning, right? If you decide to go back to school, get a master's, get a doctorate, societies also, professional societies also help with that. So as we think about lifelong learning, I want you to consider, what role are you playing in connecting your students or even yourself to those professional networks? Are you fully tapping into the resources that societies provide? Because they may be the most powerful and often underutilized catalysts for lifelong growth in engineering education. And I know you all are here, you've seen your colleagues from last year, you're happy, you're networking, but hopefully you're also taking the opportunity to advance your own knowledge in some way that you can take back and grow from there and also share with your students. So faculty internships. Has anyone, raise a hand, anyone after they started teaching did an internship in industry? Only a few. So it's kind of a progressive thought, but it's really important because as we talk about being able to infuse what industry is asking for, it's also important that faculty members may have some of that experience. So one of those ways would be maybe to take 6 weeks, a few months to do an internship at a company. And what would that do for your class, right? You'll be able to bring real world problems that you've worked on. You'd be able to give another layer of learning in that classroom. And it also helps you, right? It gives you another way of thinking. It broadens your thought process. It cultivates something new in you. So just think about it. You know, I know it might be hard for you to go in and have to be under a boss of maybe a 20-year-old at an internship, but 20-year-olds have a lot to teach us. And just as I mentioned with the students at Norte, I learned quite a bit in that meeting. So engineering knowledge doesn't stay fresh. I know I've said that probably 10 different ways so far. But in the 1930s, the half-life, which is the time it takes for half of an engineer's technical knowledge to become outdated, was 35 years. That was in the 1930s. That number shrunk to 10 years in the 1960s. So it took 10 years for half of your knowledge to be obsolete. An article in IEEE notes that the half-life is now about 3 to 5 years. And that was in 2017, which probably means that in 2025, it's even shorter than 3 years. So that just shows you how rapidly things are changing and how we can't just sit and wait and let that pass us by. We have to be active participants in it. So as I mentioned, again, I'm gonna use that term a lot, lifelong learning. It ensures adaptability, curiosity, and humility. I want to share a recent article from ASME, which is called The Power of Lifelong Learning for Mechanical Engineers, because it captures what many of you already know deep inside, and what I've shared a few times is that engineering is not standing still, whatever discipline you're in. One engineer said, "To be a thriving engineer, I needed to learn how to be a leader, not just an engineer. That shift from purely technical confidence to leadership, collaboration, and adaptability is what defines sustained success in our field. Another thoughtful line was, I actually have learned more from the early career engineers I mentor than they have learned from me. This speaks to the humility in a continuous loop of teaching and learning. Early career engineers, new ideas, new tools, and refreshing the whole system. ASME also points out that while companies are increasing their investment to learning and training to keep engineers current, hurdles still remain. I know some of you might be saying this sounds good, but I don't have time to add these extra courses to my workload. I don't have funds, I don't have the money. So it's about balancing time, of course, and managing costs, and integrating learning into our busy life already. We have families, we have plenty of things already on our plate. But the takeaway is that it really isn't optional, right? AI is replicating and changing every day. So we have to make room for it. And the great thing is there are free resources out there for you to be able to keep learning. So for mechanical engineers, specifically, leadership and self-driven learning are just as important as thermodynamics or machine design that they learned in school. So now I just want to share 5 pillars that can guide a lifelong learning mindset. Qualities that I believe every engineer and every engineering educator and student should cultivate. First is curiosity. Curiosity is asking what could be, noticing what is wrong, and wondering how to fix it. It is internal and precedes learning. It keeps us exploring. Second is adaptability. Curiosity alone gets you the questions, but adaptability lets you respond to new tools, new challenges, and new environments. Given how fast knowledge is changing, this pillar helps to ensure that you can pivot as quickly as technology is changing. Innovation. This is where curiosity and adaptability combine to produce something new, new solutions, new ways of teaching, new products, new policies. Fourth is leadership. Innovation is powerful, but leadership scales. Leadership means influencing and guiding teams, having the courage to share work, pushing for institutional change, membership, so that innovations we generate aren't isolated. So when we are innovating, we shouldn't keep it to ourselves. We should be sharing it with others. And fifth is purpose. If leadership is the vehicle, purpose is the compass. Purpose gives meaning to all the effort. Without a sense of purpose, even good innovation can become hollow or burnt out. And here's something powerful that builds on some of the previous stats that I shared, and you'll see them on the screen as well. According to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs 2025, leadership and social influence skills have risen by 22% since 2023 in terms of importance. So that means that leadership, those, I don't say soft skills, I say non-technical skills, are just as important as what you learn in class. Also, in a recent Forbes and Dell forecast, it suggests that by 2030, 30% of jobs will be jobs that don't yet exist. Think about that. How do you prepare for jobs that don't exist yet? How do you prepare students for that? So that means lifelong learning, curiosity, innovation will be essential. 85% of engineers in India plan to invest in upskilling in fiscal year 26 due to AI, according to the edtech company Great Learning. So people are preparing. They know that they have to continue to upskill. They know they have to continue to reinvent themselves and how important that is to their journey. So just a short case study on ASME and online learning hubs. So ASME has various tools to be able to support lifelong learning. And it's not the only organization. Obviously, I work there, so I know a little bit more about ASME, but there are others. There's IEEE, ASCE, ACOFI, there's many organizations, and tap into all the resources at all of them at the same time if that's what it will take to get you to where you need to be. So we have things that will give you badges, certificates, things that will help you in your, if you're in industry, help you get to the next level in your job. So it's always something that you have to be looking for too. And what I learned as I spoke to the students and professionals is that a lot of them don't know what's available to them. They're members of societies, of organizations, but don't know everything that they have available to them. So this is really important. If you are a member of different societies, make sure you speak to them, talk to the membership department. Like, do I get free courses? Do I get free access to learning tools? Those are things that are available to you as members. They fund social innovation ideas and prototypes. We publish research and standards globally, as I mentioned, and we scale offerings into local communities globally. So this is just an example of a couple of initiatives that aid in learning for students, professionals, and faculty at ASME. So if you have a great idea but need help developing your prototype, the Idea Lab Incubator offers help through mentorship and training. So if anyone has entrepreneurial or is already an entrepreneur and you have an idea and you need help on how to take that idea to the next level, there's training and help for that. Are there anyone in here that wants to be an entrepreneur or has an idea? 1, 2, 3, good. So hopefully you will connect with Idea Lab. So it addresses critical components of pre-prototype design process through customized learning and mentorship programs. It's focused on technology development and instilling sustainable design practices from the very start. Idea Lab provides curriculum, the network, and the resources you need to get your solution into the hands of people who need it. iShow supports individuals and organizations to take physical products to market. So after you've gotten a prototype from your idea and you're ready to go to market, there's an opportunity there for you too. So this is also about social and environmental impact projects. So people who go through iShow have an existing prototype, as I mentioned, so you can go from one to the next. And they're interested in receiving financing, technical support, and access to industry networks to assist in taking their product to market. And some quick stats, iShow had about 37 countries. They impact 15 SDGs and invest over $1 million in students and professionals. So that's the link there. This is hardware.org, and this just shows you some of the geographical areas where we've had iShows before. We also have micro-credentialing. So micro-credentialing is short courses where you get a certificate or a badge that you can place on your LinkedIn page. So we have courses in sustainability, digital literacy, digital twins, additive manufacturing, robotics, and things like that. And for E4C fellows, it's Engineering for Change. That's what E4C is. It's supported for early career engineers. So for those who are 0 to 10 years to gain knowledge and skills and practice in engineering for sustainable development. So allow me to share a little bit about my journey and how this lifelong learning journey has played out for me. So, and I'll say journey, and the journey does not end. So I'll say that. You're always on a journey. I'm still on a journey, and I probably will always be on one. I started out my professional career as a quality engineer, working on a manufacturing floor at General Electric, the people known for light bulbs, so hopefully everyone knows General Electric. It was my job to check for errors on the floor of the manufacturing floor of steam turbines. It was a big learning curve for me. I'd never been in that environment, but I took the challenge right out of the college. From there, I went on, was in and out of school, continuing to learn, and then I decided I wanted to pursue city and regional planning. And this gave me a broader view of a complex system. right? I was an engineer, I knew what engineering is, but how does engineering impact everything around it? And that's what city and regional planning did for me. So I was now able to take these aspects into consideration when designing solutions. With planning degree under my belt, I was planning facilities on military bases across the world. So I would plan where people live, where they work, where the kids went to school, where they went for entertainment. Another learning curve. I didn't know anything about the military, but I learned in order to do this job. What was also important for me is that I enjoyed working with children. So I pivoted again and started doing education. I was teaching elementary schools, kids age 5 to 8, about engineering principles, as well as high school students. And infusing what I learned and took from my various experience to shape their minds if they want to become engineers, and letting them know how important it is for them to consider the environment around them and to make sure that they're doing engineering that does no harm. This was really important for me, and I share that with you because as we learn and take in new information, we should also be sharing that with the next generation and the next generation, and they continue to do that if we continue to instill that in them. Kids are sponges, so I really enjoyed that experience. The entrepreneur part of me came when I decided to develop curriculum, culturally relevant lessons for students, for pre-college students. And this was to assist teachers who wanted to start talking about engineering to their students, but they had a diverse classroom. And so this was another layer of learning for me, was developing curriculum. I didn't go to school to get an education degree, a teaching degree, but I knew that kids learn differently. There's no one size fits all for education. And if you're trying to talk about a subject like engineering, you have to make it connect to the students. So that was another learning curve for me as well. So I say all of this just to say that I keep learning. I keep adding to what I know. And that's what allows me to be able to share things with audiences like you, with students. And then again, I took the work that I did to developing countries, did water filtration projects, did waste management projects in communities that don't have the same resources that they have in the United States. And then I decided to share that. So that took me to global speaker, and here I am, right? So I'm sharing that. So all of this allowed me to have an arsenal of information that I can impart and share, and hopefully in that, you take that and share it with other people. Because like I mentioned before, the point is not to keep it to yourself. I've been able to do this for a number of years, as Humberto shared. It's been about 15 years, probably a little bit more, but the journey continues. So some actionable practices and takeaways. Micro-learning habits. Give yourself 15 minutes a day. Really simple, right? 15 minutes is not a lot. Sometimes when I join these apps that teach you things like, how much time per day can you give? And I'm honest, I say 10 minutes, but if I do 10 minutes a day, it's better than 0. So it's something. Use that time to continuously improve on some skill that you have. Reflect on and adapt teaching, mentor, grow, anchor your learning and purpose, connect everything back to human impact. Take a course from a professional society, like I mentioned. Go on LinkedIn or Coursera. Play with some AI tools. I know we've heard a whole list of tools. Some of them are free. Just go in and play with them. And again, micro-credentialing. Faculty learning circles, peer teaching. Learn beyond the silo. Integrate ethics, policy, and sustainability into engineering. Collaborate with other disciplines. Connect with universities in other countries and collaborate on joint projects. Reverse mentoring with younger faculty, students, or grads. Model the mindset. Show students how you learn, not just what you teach. Demonstrate curiosity and adaptability. Ask students to teach you something. I learned, again, as I mentioned, a few things from the students that I've had an opportunity to mentor or speak to, and I learned something new every time. Industry immersion. Keep curricula alive. Update with industry needs and real problems. Read up on magazines and articles, webinars. Do the internship if you can. And that's something that a professional societies can help too going forward. And then global collaboration and exchange. Anchor learning and purpose. Connect everything back to human impact. And I feel like I've said that a few times. So as again, I bring that home, impact. Bring it back to the human side of engineering. Your next step starts today. Before you leave this conference, I want you to commit to one learning habit, big or small, that you'll carry back to your institution, your place of work, your students. Maybe that looks like mentoring. Maybe it looks like integrating equity into your curriculum. Maybe it's stepping into a leadership role you've been hesitant to take. Share it with your students, your colleagues, leaders, that one act of learning could be a ripple effect into a lasting impact. So the world does not just need more engineers. We do need them, but not just that. We need leaders with courage, empathy, and vision. And that begins with you, and that begins with me. So my closing challenge is make leadership and lifelong learning a daily practice. And I'm gonna do this thing. I don't know if it's gonna work, but if you believe that after you leave this conference, that you plan to do something innovative and different, I want you to stand. I want you to take a power stance and go like this. I commit. So who's gonna commit with me? Anybody? No? Commit to innovation? Yes. I love it. So I know by next year at this conference that I'm going to be able to hear some stories of something innovative, something new, some students that you've empowered and changed over this last year. Thank you. Gracias. Congratulations, ACOFI, on 50 years. This is exciting. And now that I've finished, I'm really ready to celebrate with you all later at the party. So thank you.